About 5 years ago, I had an IUD placed. That experience was the most traumatic medical experience I have ever had. I was required to wear a mask when I was in the room. My partner was not allowed in the room with me because everyone was very concerned about COVID at the time. And I also had a gynecologist who, to be absolutely blunt, was just not a good doctor. She was one of the doctors that told me that it would probably just feel like a little pinch and that all I had to do was take some ibuprofen beforehand and I would be fine. That was not the case. So in the room with me during my IUD insertion, which was done in office, there was me, my doctor's nurse, and an ultrasound tech. And I want to say that what they did was an intravaginal ultrasound, but I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me. But basically it was just to assist in placing the IUD. When she started attempting to place the IUD, I was very quickly in a lot of pain. Like so much pain that I almost instantly went into a panic attack. But I have a pretty high pain tolerance, and once I've started something, I am not going to back out unless I feel like my health is in danger. And everybody was acting like this was totally normal. So apparently part of the problem is that my uterus is tilted, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But the process of inserting my IUD took about 45 minutes. And during those 45 minutes, I was in so much pain that I was going back and forth from feeling like I was either going to throw up or pass out. Thankfully, I did neither. And then after probably like 10 to 15 minutes of being in that terrible, terrible pain, it eased up out of nowhere. And for a few minutes, it was fine. And then all the pain came back in one big wave. And I kept getting waves of pain like that. So I'd be okay for a couple of minutes and then like intense, intense pain. And with the way that everything was timed, at some point, I asked my gynecologist if what I was experiencing were contractions. And she said yes. I was in so much pain that I was literally having contractions like I was giving birth. And there were a few times where my gynecologist asked if I wanted to stop. And I said no, because I knew that if I stopped, I would never do that process again. And I just wanted to get it over with. And I did want the IUD inserted, so that's just what I did. So at the end, when it was actually inserted, my gynecologist and the nurse were basically like, okay, you're done, it's in, bye, and left the room. So it was me and the ultrasound tech who were left. And the ultrasound tech was the only person in that room who seemed like she gave any kind of a fuck about me. Like while I was in pain during the procedure, she was the only one that asked if I wanted a glass of water. She held my hand. And then when everything was done, I needed to sit in that room for like another 15 to 30 minutes or so before I felt okay enough to stand up and leave. And while my gynecologist and the nurse just dipped right out of there, the ultrasound tech stayed with me the entire time. She's the only person who comforted me, and she was the only person that made me feel better. Thankfully, once my IUD was inserted, I didn't have any other issues. And I've had the IUD for the last few years without any other complications. So that's a plus side.